And you might see something on
What
your
does that mean?
screen. You might see something on your screen. Just push accept.
You got it.
Accept. Okay, good. Okay. Hello, Norma and Jim. This is my sister and her husband, Jim White and Norma White. Basically, Norma was diagnosed with primary progressive aphasia. And I'm just going to ask some questions and just kind of get an idea of how she is able to communicate at this time. So today is Saturday, the 7th of May. And basically, I'm going to ask, go on ahead and ask Norma how her day was. So Norma, how is your day going so far? If you can say more than just good.
Well,
you can tell me a little bit about it.
What was the question? Say it again.
How is your day going so far?
It's good so far.
Yeah. Do you have any plans for today or something that you're going to be doing, or you can tell me a little bit about that?
I've been watching television.
Oh, okay. Okay. And so basically, I'm going to give them a little background about the situation. My sister has been, like I said, my sister has been diagnosed with primary progressive aphasia. And currently, Jim is helping her with caregiving, currently retired. He's also taking care of his mother with Alzheimer's. And I just applaud what he's doing, because he's got a lot on his plate, and not to mention other things like his own health issues that he's dealing with. But I'm going to go ahead and just kind of probably prompt you, Jim, if Norman has a problem answering. This is the first question I'm going to ask. When did you realize that, Norma, when did you realize that you had a problem or something was really wrong? Do you remember what was happening?
I was how do I say that? I think it's because it started it in my when I was working. And when I was working, I was thinking, why am I not being able to find out what was? I asked people, I talked to them, and then I with those words that I had at that time, it was better to know that I'm in there. And I asked people why. Well, it's kind of weird, but how come you have 3 on there?
It's 3 people at a time.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So Jim, do you remember what if Norma said anything to you about what happened at work when she was doing things?
Not initially. So what I remember is that she was a dynamo. Norma's a registered nurse. She was a case manager for a busy dialysis practice, and so intelligent, and so many things going on.
Right.
What they say?
Okay.
I think we're getting some feedback on our devices here.
That's okay.
So, but we started noticing what we recognize now is word finding realm. She would try to say the name of one of our children. She might be trying to say Christian, but she would go through the whole list and say, "Oh, Patrick, I mean Jennifer. Oh no, Christian." So we started noticing a lot of problems with coming up with the right word. Okay. And then there was the phase she went through of calling everything the thing.
Yeah.
She would say, that thing, we need to work with that thing. Right. And I'd say, what's the thing? And she goes, that thing.
Yeah.
And she would leave it blank, like she expected me to understand it.
Yeah.
And I'm ashamed to say that I kind of made fun of her. And I think that children and I both did
Mhm.
when she was having trouble talking. Because again, she was so intelligent, we never doubted that, but we were having so much trouble understanding what she was trying to say. And then I started noticing she was having stress at work. She would say she had trouble communicating in meetings or with her boss.
Mhm.
And it came to such a head in 2016 that she came to me almost panicked and said, I just want to quit working. But she didn't really directly attribute it to her language problems.
Uh-huh.
She was just making it sound like she was stressed and she wanted to get out. So we didn't really connect those dots
Right.
initially.
Yeah, I see. So there was something that you guys identified. And do you remember like when you thought, you know, we need to get this an actual diagnosis? Did you remember what they did to diagnose you, Norma?
To
Do you
diagnose
remember?
me.
Yeah.
We looked into the doctor to
Mhm.
in that way, and then they checked, you know, they did a, what is that called?
We had an MRI initially.
MRI. Yeah, we had an MRI, and in that time it was still early.
Right.
Took a while. So
they didn't see anything really.
They saw a little bit of atrophy in the frontal area that was read as normal by the radiologist, but the neurologist said that could be classic for aphasia type diagnosis.
Right. Okay. And then a solid aphasia, primary progressive aphasia. How much longer was it before then they gave you that diagnosis?
it was almost a year.
Okay.
It was almost a year.
You know, this was kind of at the beginning of COVID when she started going through the testing.
Yeah.
They wanted to do full neuropsychological testing,
Right.
because they thought that was the gold standard, but they weren't able to do it because they needed to do it in person and they weren't doing those tests.
Right.
So we waited, I think, over a year.
Yeah, I
for
delayed
that.
it. Yeah, I see.
And in the meantime, the hospital I'm working at, I was talking with neurologists in our neurology team there, and they were recommending that she have a PET scan.
Yeah.
And her neurologist at Kaiser didn't really want to do that, but he ultimately agreed. So we did the PET scan as well.
Yeah. And what did that show?
That showed a significant deficit of activity in the frontal and the temporal lobes on the left side.
Right. Okay.
So that's basically where they came up with the frontal temporal lobar degeneration diagnosis, as well as primary progressive aphasia.
Okay. And then did they give you like a variant or a subtype that might be like if it was a locopenic, was it non-fluent, agrammatic? Never.
Well,
So have you seen like a psychologist? And so you've seen a psychologist and a neurologist at this point. No, you haven't seen a psychologist, or have you?
We had not. Well, there was a neuropsychologist that did the neuropsychological testing. So we did see them ultimately.
Right.
And I do believe he put some opinions in about the possible variants, but he didn't come to an actual diagnosis of variants.
Okay. And then basically, Norma, you like to draw, you're artistic. You've been very artistic forever since I can remember. Do you feel like
it's one of her paintings behind me on the wall?
Yeah, I love her paintings. Has that been affected in any way at this point? Have you had difficulty painting at all?
I just want to say something first.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When they did this that thing I was telling you about, the
PET scan,
and they found nothing wrong with me.
Not in the PET scan.
In that
in the MRI, you mean? In the MRI.
So
MRI didn't really show abnormality.
Can I speak?
Yeah, sorry, Norma. It's very frustrating, right?
It's hard when you have two people. We should, if we were sitting next together to both of us,
I agree.
It
I
would be
agree.
better. Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So so then they started to there was nothing that it didn't seem that there was anything, that there was nothing that was wrong.
Right.
And so, but when things like when I started doing the it's kind of hard to say because it's if I like today, what was it? Okay, when Jim got um when he I don't know if you know about this yet. Jim had a what's it called?
Not sure what you're talking about right
You
now.
had a health scare, or
Are you talking about my surgery the other day, or?
it's okay. So this is why I want to explain this. This is why I want you to talk, Norma, because it's about how you're trying to get the information out and find the words to say. And that's what you're trying to do. And it is frustrating, correct? If you can't say the word you want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
so that when Jim had to go, and I just didn't know what to do. There was nothing.
yeah, I understand.
You're talking about when I had my surgery 2 days ago. Was it hard for you? Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's hard because you want to do so much because you have that personality. And but it's just really difficult when you have, those barriers that you're trying to overcome to be who you are, and you're a giving, kind, loving grandma and mom, and we love you, and appreciate everything you do, and your paintings are a joy to us. But I understand your frustration, and this is something that I've learned about this disorder and this disease, that it is very frustrating because it affects your communication, and communication is very important for us. Also too, I just want to go over, I did learn a little bit from Jim the other day that you are going to be using a high-tech device to help you with any type of communication. It's called the AAC device. Is that correct?
What's it called?
Your device, your speech
Oh,
generating
our
device.
device. Yeah, it's over here.
Yeah. And are you trying to get familiar with it?
Well, it helps too for the words
Yeah.
in there. And so that helps that part.
To retrieve the words you want, right?
Yeah.
We're trying to learn it. It came in the last couple of weeks, right when my health was kind of hitting a really difficult point.
Right.
So it's been hard for her to understand how to use it. And I haven't felt much like helping her to navigate it yet. So we're hoping when we get a chance to go through the tutorials, it's really going to be very helpful, but we haven't used it much yet.
Right. And so that, are they going to help you with that? Or is there, do you have a speech and language pathologist that is going to be interactive anytime soon? Or have you been helped with that?
Well, right now, when I got that,
Mm-hmm.
This lot's hard for me to say.
Okay. You got it.
If I might just add a little bit, the medical community hasn't seemed to be set up to deal with this at all. They didn't offer us anything to help her. She had speech therapy early on, but they found it wasn't going to be helpful long-term, so they just stopped it. I joined the National Aphasia Association.
Right. Great.
And I learned about speech generating devices, and I actually reached out to one that I learned from. And I
Right.
found out that our insurance didn't cover that particular device, but they encouraged me to go back to our doctor and get a referral through speech therapy for one that
Right.
would be covered. So that's
Right.
what I did at the last neurologist appointment. I asked him to put in a referral, which he
Right.
did. And then speech therapy did put in a referral. So they did pay for it. But they
Good.
haven't
Good.
offered to do any ongoing therapy or teach us how to use it. They just gave it to us and said, here's a website with tutorials. And so
Yeah.
that's all the assistance they've given us so far.
Yeah.
And if I
Yeah.
hadn't known to search for this device, we wouldn't have it today. So.
Right. Very good. I'm glad that you did that too. I'm really glad you did. So currently, you got that device. Now you're going to start learning a little bit more about it, and that's great. I just want to tell you that dealing with that, you know, what you're going through and seeing the difficulties, I feel like you should have a speech pathologist there to kind of help. I don't know why they said it's not helpful for her. I think that anything will be helpful for her to communicate. And Jim, I don't think there should be any problem. I mean, you should be able to just fight for that too. I think that your insurance, Kaiser will probably fight tooth and nail, but your insurance should probably be able to give that to you, because it's a communication issue and it's very important to communicate. And even just with the device itself, you're going to still need help with the frustration and you know, getting out what you need to get out and learn how to, I mean, even the technology part, you can even go low tech where she's like, okay, this is what I'm trying to say, or point out a picture or whatever, boards or whatever. But basically, she should have that help. And, but I really appreciate, Norma, the time that you're taking to talk with me about this for my presentation, and Jim as well. And I really hope that this gets out there more so people can understand it and be able to be more helpful to people, because it doesn't sound like they were very helpful for you. And that, you know, and
They
also,
basically say that there's no known cause, no known cure, and it's progressive. So it'll end in the complete loss of the ability to communicate.
right.
And they seemed content to leave it at that. Really.
Yeah. And that to me is wrong. And I don't think Kaiser should be, they need to think about patient care in the now, and not like, oh, later on it's going to happen, you know? So I would encourage you to fight for it. And also just, you know, just, yeah, try to get that therapy. But I appreciate it, the time that you're taking to talk to me about it, because I've learned so much about it myself. And it's kind of giving me I'm not sure if I want to go to working with children now, or I want to go into the adult field, because the adult field, I feel like too, is something that I like. But anyways, I'm thankful again for you to be here. And I'm going to go ahead and close out this meeting, and we might talk a little bit more afterwards so we can kind of just catch up. All right.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, Jim and Norma.
Thank you.
All right,
Love
you're
you
welcome.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
You too.
Bye.